I do a show called Gig Gab for musicians, primarily. This week, I had a guy on the show who is also a podcaster named Dallas Taylor. He does a podcast called 20,000 Hertz.
Oh, I love it. It's great.
It's such a great show.
He's got a great voice, and his topics are terrific, and it's so obscure. A lot of obscure things that you learn that you're like, that's amazing.
He dissects the stories behind sounds that we know, sounds that we don't know, like the Netflix, swoosh sound. He talks about that, like things like that, right?
Yeah.
And so I had him on Gig Gab. We both we're aware of each other, but we never met. And the episode is mostly us getting to know each other by telling stories to each other, which was a departure from the way that show usually goes. But I found it really interesting.
Nice.
He started that show because 14 years ago, he created his own sound design studio called Facto Sound, right? So they build sounds. I think they do a lot of Netflix's sounds and like trailers and like they'll do all of that stuff. Right. And then they have downtime where the studio is, staffed by employed people, but not billing any hours. And so that's when they started doing the show. And as an aside, I'll let you listen to the episode, but they spend 300 hours per episode.
Yeah, that's
300 man
insane
hours. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But he talked about how he's someone who knows that he wants to start things and figure out processes, but then it's really important to buy back his time by delegating. But in order to delegate, you got to be able to train people how to do the things that you have figured out how to do for your business.
Right.
And then hopefully, if you train them well, they can do it at least as well as you, or close to as well as you, the 80% rule that we've talked about on this show before, right? And then eventually, hopefully they do the job better than you, right? Which is often how that's going to work out.
Yeah, hopefully.
But the trick of training them is something he really focuses on, and he uses Loom to document all the procedures and essentially mind dump everything that's in his brain. That's how he trains his staff. I mean, there's other ways, but primarily
it's a great way to do it. And if you've never used Loom, basically it's a bunch of ways to use it. But I think the way you're talking about is you're recording your screen.
Yeah, it's a screen recorder.
Yeah, you're recording your screen as you're doing some task, and you're down in the corner with a little circular video, blurb.
Yep.
And you're talking them through it. Okay, look, I want you to do this. I want you to fill out this. When you get to this point of the screen, you should do this. And this is how we handle these situations. So you're walking them through, how
to do stuff. It's anything. You training them. It's awesome. It's a webinar builder.
Yeah.
If you want to, they probably wouldn't like me if I said it that way, but that's kind of what it's doing is you're building these webinars.
And it's asynchronous. So people can ask questions and it gets posted there and you can go up and answer them and it stays there. They can post it. They can post a question, a video like, hey Dave, I don't understand when you got to this point, do I press this or do that? You get an alert, you can go up, answer that question, and it stays as part of the SOP or the FAQ, whatever it is you're creating. It's a great service. I used it for a few things.
I've used it before too. I never realized the question thing. I used it basically to be this simple way to record a presentation that I wanted to just deliver.
I see. Yeah, me too. That's kind of the way I did it. But then I noticed when I pushed it out to my audience that I guess I had left that question thing on, and so they started posting questions back and forth, and then you could just choose. Oh, do you want to leave this question in? That kind of thing, which is great. And that, I think I've mentioned on the show before, one of the...
You can start Loom for free, by the way. I'm just digging it.
That's cool.
They are not a sponsor of this episode,
they should
by
be.
the way. I know. Yeah.
There's one of the guys I follow on X, Girdley is his handle or whatever you want to call it. He was talking about, I forget, I'll paraphrase. Basically, to be successful, you either need to delegate or automate. And if you're really good, you do it.
You're doing both.
You do both. Yeah. And I think it's a great idea. And there's if I think of it, I don't know his URL, but there was a guy that recorded a specific set of looms all about making SOPs for your business and how to use Loom to do it.
So very meta.
Yeah, very meta. I'll look it up after we're done recording, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
His first name is Colin,
right,
I
cool.
thought it was pretty good. It's pretty
Those show notes are at businessbrain.show. And if you want to send us feedback, if you have thoughts, if you're using Loom, if you have any questions for us, whatever, send us whatever you want. Feedback at businessbrain.show. We love to hear from you. It's our fuel.